Welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Paul Schmidt from Playbook. And it's a pleasure having you in here today.
Thank you, Rory. Thanks for having me.
Good. Why don't you tell everybody what Playbook is?
Playbook is an independent business consulting company. I've been doing consulting for 20 years almost, since 1994. It's gone through several transitions. In the last 3.5 to 4 years, I stood up Playbook because it's an aggressive, growth-oriented business climate that we live in today, even though the economy has taken some of the wind out of the sails. We have a lot of entrepreneurs who need some help and want to grow their businesses, and so I've stood it up for that purpose.
Well, I think all entrepreneurs nowadays could use a little help.
There are some extremely intelligent and talented people out there with a lot of energy. Many times they have true vision. They may need some help in putting together a deployment plan, or they may need some help in structuring a business process that will allow them to build that pathway to the success that they envision.
Okay, let's start with how did you get in this business?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I've been in consulting business since 1994. I stood up a company at that time called Strategic Associates, and its focus was to prepare people and organizations to achieve excellence. And we did a lot of mentoring, a lot of training, and we did some organizational work, did an awful lot of operational improvement projects in that arena. After that, I hired on with Goodman & Company, which is now Dixon Hughes Goodman, and headed up the business consulting division for them. In that particular venue, the primary focus was to support the clients that the company already had and help them grow or help them work out some of their financial issues, and in many cases some of their operational issues. Then in 2010, I stood up Playbook, as I described earlier. Prior to that, I was in industry for 19 years with Nestle.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking, you said you were in, was manufacturing?
I was in manufacturing. I was in food manufacturing in 6 different plants around the country, 8 different positions, and learned everything there is to run a business from the manufacturing viewpoint. Starting on the night shift supervisor and working first line supervision up to the engineering manager, production manager, and also the plant manager on a couple of occasions. Mm-hmm. Truly a learning experience.
Right.
I had some
on-the-job training.
Absolutely. Well, Nestle had a phenomenal training program to bring me up from a Greenhorn College graduate to the point where I could actually run a crew who was producing and was thriving and was producing some profit along the way. I had some challenges, and I had some mentors along the way who gave me some projects that allowed me to truly develop some analytical abilities, some planning and strategic abilities that I use today. And I often refer to those in some metaphors and examples when I'm dealing with my clients.
Right. Now, you deal with companies of all sizes?
I do. I have companies that are less than $1 million in revenue, and I have companies that are a couple of $100 million in revenue.
And I noticed, of course, the first thing that jumped out at me is your company's called Playbook. Now, as a business owner, I like profit. It's not a bad word, but in today's, society, it's not exactly. Some people don't see it that way. Why Playbook?
It's an attention getter, for one thing. It's an unusual name, and people ask me a couple of times, what is it again? Mm-hmm. And why did you name it that? My son and I conspired on this. My son is a marketing professional, mm-hmm. and we talked about how I would name my company and why I would name it a certain way. And as we talked through it, he said, "Dad, you're a sports enthusiast. Mm-hmm. Everything you do has some strategy that's surrounded with, in a playbook somewhere or another. So why don't we use that?" And as I was talking to Mike, my son, I said, Mike, I really want to work with growth companies now. I'm not so concerned, or I don't have the energy to work with turnarounds and staid companies that are looking for moderate growth and just survival. I really want to work with the aggressive, offensive-minded companies. And so I said, we want to build profit. And he said, that's it, Dad, profit playbook. What else would describe what you do? And I've since talked to some of my clients about that, and they've said the same thing. They said, that describes exactly what you do. We're going to have fun with it. It's a game. It's a game of life and death, because your life
It's a serious game.
It's a serious game. Your life depends on your business, but we can make it fun. And the playbook is a way to develop the strategy that makes it fun and the pathway to get to our profits. So it all comes together in the name.
Oh, well, that makes tremendous sense. I have here, one of the questions is, what type of companies do you work with? Now, you just talked to fast growth companies, or companies looking for to really explode. So would that be the answer to that one?
In part, yes. Industries have been all over, Rory. I've worked with government contractors. I've worked with government agencies. I've worked with construction companies, manufacturing, hospitality. We're doing a training program and standing up an entire development in Virginia Beach right now. I'm working also with an outdoor power equipment company. It's all over the board, and it keeps me fresh. And there are 4 things that all of these companies have in common.
That was going to be my next question.
There is a common thread. They all have processes of some sort or another, sometimes not well defined, and I help define that. They all have people, and these people have to have the right attitude, skills, and behaviors. We work on that with our clients. I do a lot of mentoring, a lot of professional development. I'm starting a program 2 weeks from today where I'll have 19 people from one single company involved in a professional development program over a 6-week period, 8-week period actually, where we'll go through 10 different elements of leadership and management and build their skills in those particular areas. So they have process, we have people, we have products and services, and there is a marketing need, there is a placement in the market for those products and services, and there is a need to have those products and services excel in terms of their performance for the client. Finally, there's the profit, hopefully. In not all cases do we have the profit, but of course that is the end point. For the clients that I'm dealing with today, Rory, the clients who are focused on growth, profit is not a goal, it's a core value. We do things to create profit. The reason we do things, it drives the decisions, it drives our actions. Profit drives what we want to do. Now, we also have civic-minded people, we have ecologically minded people, we have socially conscious people, and what they do with the profits are all the good things that they desire to do, but the profit is the need.
Yeah,
and
you
so
can't,
it
you
becomes
can't
the
do
core
that if you
value.
don't have it. I mean, if you don't have something to do it with.
That's correct. And the companies who get the goal wrong, who think that they're there to somehow save the world as opposed to create the profit, they do neither because they don't have the funds to do so.
Right.
So we focus on the profit, and then we do what we want to do with the profit in our hand.
Yeah, I'm kind of reminded, like when you go to take off on a plane, they say if the mask drops down, you know, put your own mask on first, then help somebody else.
Right.
Because if you're passed out, you're not going to help anybody, you know, basically. And it's kind of the same thing with business, I think. The better you do, the more people you can help, and the more conscious or civic-minded you can be in things too, because you have some wherewithal to help. But if you're worried about where your next meal's coming from, it's hard to do that. So.
That's an excellent analogy. Do you mind if I use that?
No, I gave credit the first time I used it, and then I've taken credit for it ever since.
Okay, well, I'll give you
It
credit.
really wasn't mine.
I'll give you credit until somebody
There you go.
uses it for me, and then I'll take it from there.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so good name, Profit Playbook. So how do you find your clients?
Well, in the early going, of course, it was tough.
Always is.
Yeah, I was doing cold calling and emailing to get myself some business and going from place to place and dropping in. Fortunately, right now, all of my business is done through networking and referrals. I network a lot. I belong to several organizations that have fairly large memberships, and I show up and have conversations and find out what's on the mind of the business leaders, and then approach them with an opportunity to help and potentially a solution. In other cases, I work with the clients that I already have to get referrals, and in many cases I work with other professional agencies. I have 4 accounting firms that I work with, small, medium, large, and tiny. And so they touch virtually every kind of client out there, and so I get referrals from all of those. I have bankers, I have attorneys, and I have some other consultants who maybe don't do exactly what I have in my wheelhouse, and we refer back and forth.
Now, you listed some of the areas that you have expertise in. It's quite a few of them. When we were talking on the phone, you were explaining that you look at a company like a bird's eye view of the company through their whole structure. So you're analyzing different things that make that company work or can make it work better. And then you help them devise strategies to improve each of those areas. Am I following that right?
That's correct. And also not only the strategy, but the tactics and the operational methodology. It goes deeper than just the strategy. My job is to understand what the CEO wants to happen in his business, and then go to the operating level and help those people satisfy the CEO's desires. And whatever those goals are, in terms of growth, in terms of operational professionalism or excellence, in terms of customer-centric processes and techniques, or in terms of product improvement.
Okay, I had down here a question is, in 10 words or less, describe how companies can best make use of you and your skills. So you want to go ahead and answer that?
Well, actually, I think I just did, and
I think you just did too. But I was giving you a chance to smooth it out and say it in just a straight, maybe a manner that would give you a second chance to say it again.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be a little more eloquent. I'm excited about my business. Sometimes the words flow faster than my mind does. But essentially, my job is to understand the desires and the objectives of the CEO and go to the operating level and make it happen.
There you go. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
That may have been 12 words. But
yeah, that's what I was looking for, though. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now it's no secret that since 2008, we've had a challenging, to say the least, economy for business, both large and small, but especially small business, I would say. And so that's challenged all of us. How have you seen that affect your business and how you've dealt with clients?
Well, the change, Rory, in the way business was being conducted was really the impetus for me to stand up Profit Playbook. As I was dealing with a lot of companies, the more bold, aggressive, assertive companies out there were choosing not to participate in the recession. They just said, we choose not to participate. We're growing. We are going to put growth strategies in place, and we are going to expand our businesses. So what I've found is that it has actually enhanced my ability to get business. Now, my fee structure has had to change a little bit. I've changed from a simple fee base in many cases to more of a success clause, where once we achieve a given milestone or whatever, then I get compensated on behalf of whatever funds may have occurred as a result of that milestone. But nevertheless, the business has increased, and I find myself incredibly busy. And in some cases, I can't take on additional clients because I just don't have the room or capacity to do so.
Well, that's a good position to be in.
It is a good position to be in. Once we reach the success milestones that we identify out there, then the cash flow follows as well.
Now, some people are just taking the needle and pulling that back and saying, let me hear that again. Did I hear that right? So, you don't hear that too much anymore.
Well, a lot of my clients take on a lot of risk. They're out there trying to grow. They're jumping into a world that they don't necessarily understand or are not familiar with. I share that risk with them. I say, I'm here with you. I'm here on behalf of you. The only reason that we're talking is because you want to do something and I can help you do it.
Right.
So let me absorb part of that risk. I also want to absorb part of the success. And so if we understand that and we both have that objective, then it's not difficult to make a deal.
Okay. Is there anything else that I haven't covered that you would like to touch on?
I think there are a couple of things. The focus of my business right now, as I said, there are 4 things that pull all these companies together, and they are people, process, products, and profits. Primarily, what
You like peas, don't you?
I like the P's.
Profit
it's
Playbook.
it's easy to remember. There are other words out there. If you read the balanced scorecard,
Right.
they have different words out there. But as I looked at that, I said, we're going to make this easy so that people can remember it.
Well, I didn't mean
And
to
so I put it
sidetrack you.
together. No,
It was just funny.
It's interesting though, because we can all look at what other people write and what other people tell us, and we can absorb it and. In many cases,
It makes it
we can
easy to
understand
remember,
it.
though.
But if we make it, if we customize it and make it for ourselves, then we can use it.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that I do with my clients. The primary focus that
Because
I'm
people, process,
products
products,
and profits.
and profits.
That last one is a hopeful, of course, and
Right.
that's what our core value is and our objective in the companies that I'm working with. But there are a number of services and products that I provide, and one of them is a strategic viewpoint and a strategic overview. And many times when I'm dealing with the CEO of a company, I'm the listening post. He or she may have an idea, may have a very clear focus in his or her mind, but to talk it out with somebody who can understand it and repeat it back to them is important before they try to communicate it to their employees.
Do you sometimes find that people are too close to a situation and they don't see, well, we don't want to say the forest for the trees, but sometimes they don't have the clear picture that someone from the outside would have, so they don't see potential problems? Or
That's absolutely true, and of course it's true of me as well. I learn from my clients as much or more than they learn from me. In many cases, what will happen is a principle or an initiative will come about, and my questions are designed to help analyze what is the value of that and what is the difficulty and what are the constraints that are going to stand in the way of us initiating that. So that's another prime product that I provide, the strategy and the analysis. Also the financial overview. We take a look at that. I do forecasting for a lot of my companies, and we do the strategic plan, and then we roll out a forecast of 18 months or 2 years or 3 years, or in one case 10 years, because it was going to take that much to pay off the debt on this particular company. It was a high capital cost to begin with. And we look at how they're going to produce along those lines. Also do some mergers and acquisitions, and in that way we're helping those companies grow.
okay, well, it sounds like you got a full plate.
I have a full plate, and I have some clients that have some extremely interesting projects, and I wake up every day and I run to my office because I'm eager to get back into the.
Well, you sound like you're very passionate about what you do, and that's great, because if you love what you do, that's half the battle right there.
Well, thank you, and it is, and I've had the misfortune of passing that on to my children in a certain way, and I've created 3 workaholics along the way.
Well, I think if you own a business, you kind of tend to go that direction, especially if it's something you love. It's because it's not really work to you sometimes. So, but I appreciate you coming in, and certainly you're very knowledgeable on the subject of business and how to grow it, and how to in any economy, including this one. So obviously you're having success with that. So if you have a business and you would like to have a second opinion on it, or you have something where you're trying to grow your business and you're tired of sitting around and in this recession and wanting to start moving your company forward, then you might try giving Paul Schmidt at Profit Playbook a call. I don't know if he can fit you in. He sounds like a busy guy, but he certainly brings a lot to the table, a lot of experience, and certainly has a different type of a model than I've heard before, where you don't have standard just fees. You actually participate in their success. So that's a great way to get a return on your investment. So his contact information is at the end of this video and on this page. So I thank you for coming in, and I wish you a great deal of success, continued success.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm pleased to be here. I will add one little caveat
Okay.
there. I can't work on a successfully fee on every particular project that I have, because I do need the cash flow. Secondly, yes, I am busy, but we'll find a way. And if I can't find a way personally, I have friends who can help these businesses out that I would love to refer them to.
Well, we're all looking to make our way through this, and we need people that are successful in helping us in that regard. So I appreciate your efforts and coming in, and so give him a call and check out his site, and we wish you a lot of success.
Thank you very much. It's
All
a
right,
pleasure
thank you.
being here, Rory.